Good afternoon, YouTubers. Joe Kersey here on Sunday, January 22nd, 2017 at 12:18 Eastern Time. Today I want to tell you a story, and then I might tell you another story, but we'll see. Today's story is called, now wouldn't you just know it? Today's story is called An Old Man Loses His Sons and His Fishing Business. On one of the upper Great Lakes, Lake Superior, an old man had a commercial fishing boat. He and his two sons, James the oldest and John the youngest, would go out daily during the commercial fishing season, generally trying to catch whitefish in their nets. The whitefish was much prized by restaurants for its relatively bland flavor and relatively few pescally tenacious bones that would annoy a customer when eating it. They would also catch lake trout, which they would smoke and sell out of local groceries and convenience stores. Now, the lake trout was a very fatty fish, dark and rich, with many bones, but much loved by locals and tourists who had a discerning taste. When smoked, they kept almost indefinitely and had a rich, heady smell. One day, an itinerant homeless man wandered down along the pier. He looked as if he were searching for something, a scrap of food, perhaps the discarded remnant of a pizza, or onion rings and part of a sandwich from a takeaway meal, or perhaps some newspapers to lie in his very tattered and ripped jacket for insulation, or to use for sleeping rough on the ground. But no. He kept his attention on the boats and kept looking directly at the men on board as they went about getting ready to set out for the day's fishing. Was he looking for work? Fat chance. Unless he had been trained to do one of the most dangerous jobs in the United States, working on a commercial fishing boat, no one would hire him. He was probably a drunk, or druggie, or crazy. Who would take a chance on him? Suddenly he stops alongside the old man's boat and stares, trying to catch the eye of a man or men on board. He does. He looks intently at James and John and says, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." And much to the old man's surprise and disgust, they immediately left the boat and their father and followed him, going off to who knows where to do who knows what. Yeah, that was me. That was my boat. Those were my sons. Some people will tell you I had hired hands to help me, so I could not have completely lost my business. But they are wrong. My employees' hearts were not in it. No one works that hard and ugly unless there is love and a connection to the other person with the work. A hired hand is fine, But for some things you need blood, family, unconditional love. Fishing like we did required all of those to be successful in economically thin times with declining resources. So I went under. I lost everything. I had to go on welfare. Did I resent it? You bet I did. I was furious. I was sick with rage and anger. It nearly killed me. And it would have done, but for some very strange news that came out a little more than 3 years later. This homeless bum had been executed. He had been causing too much trouble. And although he had been exercising his God-given rights to have his say, he ran into the wrong prosecuting attorney in the wrong county downstate. Some faked evidence and testimony and no effective counsel at trial, and he was toast. Toasted and roasted in the electric chair, a real sizzler that. I felt vindicated. And I would have continued feeling that way, but for some additional information. Turns out that same prosecuting attorney, he wanted to make a name for himself. He wanted to run for Congress. Did the same thing to my boy James. He never went to trial though. He sent one of his hitmen to cut his head off and threw his body from the top of a parking garage into a dumpster below. But my other boy John is still alive, and at the time I'm making you this oral history recording, he is out continuing the homeless fellow's work. He's healing the sick, the lame walk, the blind see, the deaf hear. Those afflicted with demons have them cast out. Just like the homeless guy was able to do. He travels about baptizing and preaching and talks incessantly about the kingdom of God being right here on earth right now, and how we are supposed to bring it about until, and this is strange, the homeless guy is going to return again to rule over all of us and over all creation. I don't know whether to be the proudest, happiest father on earth, or whether I will soon wake up from a dream that seems all too perfect to be real, and see that I am still surrounded by despair, degradation, poverty, wars, destructions, and depredations by lowlifes. And then I realized that I, Zebedee, have to start doing the same thing, to do what I can to help people around me, even though I do not have much to spare from my welfare payments. To try to make the creation around me a better place, to take care of it and the creatures in it, humans, beasts, plants, rivers, lakes, oceans, air, until this homeless guy comes back to rule over it all, forever and ever. I have let go of my anger, my rage. I now see that my boy saw something far larger and better in this homeless man than I had given him, or them at the time, credit for. And that has healed me as surely as this homeless itinerant man, Jesus was his name if I recall, will heal you too. Bye-bye, YouTuber.